Why is America the only nation on this earth where mass shootings is a daily occurrence? Why is that happening in our society? Why are we the only nation in the world that tolerates that? There's a lot of blame to go around, and I'm going to address some of these issues in this video. And the first part of my contention is going to be very simple. Does anybody know what interlocking corporate directorship is? That's where a group of morons sit on a board of directors, such as a pharmaceutical company in your community or in your city, while simultaneously sitting on a school board director place or a radio or television station that's local in your community. That is to say that they control everything that's pretty much going on in your community. You have those groups of people who are in charge, and they're the ones who are responsible for the distribution of what could arguably strongly be presented as poison in your communities. Okay, drugs, violence, pornography, all those kinds of things. Contributing factors to what I think is going on here. The second thing is, where are the discussions about prescription drug use being entertained at? They're not on the news stations. I don't see it on CNN. I don't see it on Fox News. Who's talking about these things? Who is talking about how bad prescription drug use is? Let me ask you a question. Have you gone to any of your local EMS or paramedics in your community and asked them how many people that they deal with on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis? How many of them are forced to come to a person's house who is suffering, who is OD'd because of prescription drug use? Go ask them. You're going to find the statistics on it are staggering. Here in my community, there is an epidemic going on with prescription drug abuse. I am not kidding you guys. I mean, it is so bad. It is so rampant. It is so ubiquitous that I can't even begin to fathom to how to relate it in this video properly. I just can't. And again, I would attach this to the interlocking corporate directorship that resides even in my own community. And I challenge you to explore it in yours. You'll get your answers. Why is the NRA silent on this? That's my next one. How about the gun owners of America? Why is nobody from these organizations who have accrued hundreds of millions of dollars from people like yourself, from people like in my family, why are they silent on these issues? How come nobody has come forth and presented a contention or presented an argument and say this is something that we need to work on, this is something that we need to do? I understand that they get attacked a lot by, you know, social media and news companies and agencies and newspapers of that kind. I understand that. But especially when something happens like this, they need to be coming out. They need to bring forth a civil, coherent discussion for people, and we need to address these issues more thoroughly and hear what they have to say about this, because they are a contributing factor to it as much as they don't want to admit it. It's just true. Why are they silent? I just don't think that they should be. I'm not trying to pick on them, but I don't think they should be silent. I think they need to come out and they need to have a discussion with people. Don't hide, especially when something like this happens. I don't want to make this video to anger people. I don't want to make this video to sadden people. I'm trying to calm it down. I'm trying to calm the situation down and look at it for what it is. There's a lot of what I view hypocritical positions that are underlying this problem as well. What about all the video game violence? What about all the movie violence? What about all the music violence that I see going on by artists and musicians and directors and actors, people who make millions of dollars off of this, who go in front of a camera every day, get shot or shoot people, same with video games, and at the same breath, they go around administering on when they receive awards for their acting performances, telling me that I need to exercise gun control. How hypocritical is that? When a person who writes lyrics in a song and performs it on stage and tells people to kill other people, and they say we need to exercise gun violence and don't be pointing fingers and calling us racist. Seriously? You don't see a problem with that? I do. I see a problem with that. I see a problem with what children see, not know so much what they read, what they see and what they do. That, to me, has an effect greatly on their mind. Are you honestly going to tell me that watching videos that are violent, watching movies that are violent, and playing video games that are violent, that doesn't have an effect on a young person's mind? I think that it does. I think that it does. I'm not advocating to abolish these things. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that these are underlying factors. I'm saying that these are major contributors, little parts of them, brought into the whole of this thing, this mass hysteria, this mass tragedy we call shootings, that we call shootings. I think these are very important factors of what's contributing to this. How about the breakdown of communities? How about the breakdown of religion? How about the breakdown of family? Does that, in your view, contribute to these shootings? What have we lost in America that we have replaced it with? We took out the Ten Commandments. We took out God out of the colleges and universities. We've even taken it out of the elementary schools. What have we replaced it with? Sex, guns, drugs, and violence. That's what we replaced it with. Are those healthy things to replace God with? Are those healthy things to replace family with? Are those healthy things to replace community with? Are those healthy things to replace health with, faith with, hard work with? Really? Is that what you think? Is that what you believe? So all the things that I've just said, you don't think that those are contributing factors to what's going on in this country? That it is exposed on the level that it is in this country? We're obsessed with what we have and what we don't have. That is why all the other countries in the world do not have the problem that we have. It has nothing to do with abolishing the Second Amendment. I'm not for repealing the Second Amendment. I'm not for extinguishing any of our sacred amendments that we have. I'm an American to the core. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about these are underlying factors. These are progressive stages of what I feel is a disease right now. We are such a drug-induced culture legally. You know, it used to be, I want to talk about legal for a minute, because it used to be 10 years ago, every shooting that occurred in the United States was blamed on guns being obtained legally or illegally. Now it's the opposite. Is now most of these shootings are done with legal guns. I made a video about the Second Amendment and what I felt about it. And I present the question again. Should we, as Americans, be limited on how many guns we can own? Do you think that would be a contributing factor? Is that a contributing factor? Do you think it's something we need to have an open discussion about, a civil discussion about? How about weapons of war? Should we abolish those? Should we abolish bows and arrows? Should we abolish knives? There was just the New York Times, no, it wasn't the New York Times. Which one was it? The Los Angeles Times. I just read in the Los Angeles Times this morning, 4 people were killed. They were stabbed. There was one person stabbed already in Pittsburgh this morning too. A lady was stabbed. Should we abolish knives? You see where I'm going with this? We have these arguments all the time until the next shooting. This is going to run down for about, maybe 2 weeks, and then we're going to forget all about these shootings like they never occurred. This is what happens with every shooting in America. Because every time we entertain these ideas, any time we entertain these projections and suggestions, they get brushed under the carpet and nothing is ever done about them again until the next shooting. If you don't believe me, come back and watch this video 6 months from now and see how many shootings have been registered in the United States. How many shootings have you been exposed to? How many shootings have you already been exposed to already in 2019? Now, how about this? Okay, I'm not trying to undermine what happened this past weekend, but the city of Chicago received the same amount of violence and shootings in their city as Dayton did, and nobody blinks an eye. It's a common occurrence every week in Chicago. Listen to the police scanners every day on a weekly basis in Chicago. For those of you who have phones like I do, a cell phone, an iPhone, an Android, an iPad, download the latest police scanner app and listen to the Chicago police calls. You just won't believe it. It'll blow your mind what those cops go through on a daily basis in Chicago. You're not going to believe what they go through. My heart goes out to those people every single day. Every single day, those police officers put their life on the line. Nobody writes stories about them. Nobody does YouTube videos about them. Nobody puts them on their news programs. Nobody writes good articles about them in their newspapers. This is a common occurrence in our country, except when we decide to exploit it. Where do we draw the line as a society to how many weapons we can own to demonstrate as human beings that we care for our fellow human beings, that we don't scold them because they're different, because of the color of their skin, or because of what religion they are? Where do we draw the line as a society to stop these shootings? When is it going to happen? How many people have to die before we decide that enough is enough? These are questions that I'm asking. I've given you a couple of factors of what I feel is a major contributor to what's going on in our society and what's causing these shootings. You can agree to disagree with me, but I would like to hear your input. I would like to hear what we can do. I would like for you to stop what you're doing and make a video yourself about what's going on instead of listening to me. Get involved in your community. Get involved with your church. Get involved with your school. Get involved with all the organizations that are in your community. There's lots of them. Here in my community, here in the Pittsburgh area, the churches are struggling to keep their doors open, guys. Nobody wants to go to church anymore. Nobody's even there except on Good Fridays and Easter. That's it. It's the only time people go to church around here. The churches are struggling because we've erased them. We've erased faith and hard work and fear from our society. We don't fear anything anymore. That's another problem that we have. Kids don't fear anymore. Nobody fears anything because everybody's on drugs. I presented a formula to you. Take it as you will and do something about it. Get involved in your communities because the only person who can stop the next shooting is you. I'll see you in the next video.